Welcome to Abby's channel. Good morning, everyone. Good day, everyone, wherever the country you're watching from. So today we are going to look at Introduction to Literature. This is basically for senior school, but then of course, anyone could learn from this. What is literature? Literature refers to written works from Latin. Written works. Okay, so let's look at it from the Latin word literatura, meaning writing formed with letters that possesses literary merit and use creative language to imitate social realities. So literature imitates social realities. Sometimes you can actually turn your pain, your joy into art. And you can do that through writing, singing, rap, however, they're all literature. It reflects human experiences and can be transmitted through writing or speech. How is this different from other arts? Example, painting, sculpture. Both express a society's culture. Let's look at it. Let's look at the historical development of literature. Literature was originally limited in distribution. Literature print technology enabled mass distribution. Before now, when you have a book, if the book was produced in Europe, written by an European, it was limited in distribution. But the 21st century actually did a whole lot to literature, giving us electronic print and all that of literature. So now you can have the soft copy, you can listen to it, audio copy and all that. Types of literature. What are the types of literature? We have oral literature and then we have written literature. Let's take a look, a quick peek at oral literature. Oral literature are presented through spoken expressions that we can talk about the pre-writing era. You know, it was used by our great-grandfathers. Just think about the lullabies, think about the songs, songs to children under the tree, oral literature. Just think about the orikis, you know, giving to gods or to humans, eulogies. So let's look at the classification. We have folk tales. What are folk tales? They are short narratives passed orally featuring human characters. Then we talk about the legend. Legends are stories from the past with possible historical basis. May not fully be true. What are legends? Just last week we're having social media was buzzed with arguments between a legend and another legend. One is no more, one is living, and it was between who is better, who is greater, between Fela Anikulapo Kuti and Wizkid. So legend may be true. Of course, we all know that Fela was a legend. We can refer to him as a legend. He actually fought for human rights and all that. He spoke to the government. So we are going to come back to that. So legends are stories from the past with possible historical basis. We have legends among us. We could have literary legends. We could have activists, we could have political legends, we could have peace legends. You know, so far we have lots and lots of them. Literary legends, I'll give it to Chinua Achebe, legends, yes. But then most times we often tell the tale because I think there was Ransom Kuti. There's something that was given after her. I think I saw the movie, Ransom Kuti and all that. So legends are stories from the past with possible historical basis. We have Jaja of Bobo, we have Queen Aisha of Zaria and all that. Then we go to myth. Myths are ancient stories explaining origins of races, things, or events. Then we move on to fable. Fable are short tales, often with animals conveying a moral lesson. Of course, we know fables like the tortoise and the hare and all that, where one character of one animal is depicted as cunning and all that. So fables are short stories, often with animals conveying a moral lesson. Types of literature. Okay, so we have riddle, proverbs, and all that. So riddles are puzzling questions, statements to test cleverness. I am this. Da, 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 da. What am I? I walk on 4 legs in the morning, this in the afternoon. So they're just statements to test cleverness. Oh, we have one. It walks on 4 legs in the morning, 2 at night, and 3 in the evening. That's a human being. Proverbs. Proverbs are short, well-known sayings stating a general truth or advice. Proverbs. According to Chino again, I really love the man. He referred it as the oil in which what's it called, humans or the elders use in eating. When you listen to an African elder, a Nigerian elder, before he or she speaks to you, he or she uses proverbs to convey whatever he or she is saying to you. So they are short, well-known sayings stating a general truth or advice. Then we move on to written literature. Under written literature, they are intellectual, it is broad, and written literature we have three under them. So we have the poetry, we have prose, and then we have drama. Poetry usually are condensed. That means in poetry you can have what's it called, a whole story that could just be based on one line. You know, imagine a book being written on racism. It could have about 400 pages, but if it comes to poetry, 4 lines can depict that too. Excuse me. Then we have prose. Prose are ordinary sentences, you know, put together, and prose are subdivided, or it is subdivided into two. We have fiction and non-fiction. Fiction, things that are not true, happy reading and all that. But non-fiction, things that are true, and this includes memoirs, autobiographies, biographies, and all that. So textbooks are part of non-fiction. We have memoirs, biographies, autobiographies, textbook, encyclopedia. That is why when a textbook, there's an error in a previous one, the next one is to tell you updated, because they're trying to correct something. So non-fiction are things that are true. Of course, you're not going to put in someone's autobiography or someone's biography saying he or she did it when he or she didn't do that. So these come under written literature. Okay, so we go to functions of literature. There are a whole lot. And you and I, we can actually say that on the back of our hands. Functions of literature. Well, literature helps us in knowledge sharing. Knowledge sharing. Literature provides new information and makes us smarter. Sometimes you may not know something about a tribe, a community, but when someone pens their experiences down, knowledge sharing, it helps you know people better. There are places, a popular writer once said, what is acceptable, I think that's Chinua Achebe again, what is acceptable in one's home or domain may be a taboo in another. So in knowledge sharing, it helps us know what we should say when we get to a particular place, or what is acceptable and what is not. For example, there are some places in the north, you can't just dress anyhow. No matter how covered you are, you have to be extra covered. And not just in the north, there's even in Dubai, you can't just put holding of hands on the streets and all that. So it helps in knowledge sharing. You get to know new things, you get to know new facts, and it keeps you in check, and you respecting the host of whoever you're going to meet or the people you're coming in contact with. Literature helps us in upbringing, moral education. That is, it teaches us good versus evil. And then we can see this in fairy tales for children. Literature helps in moral upbringing. So we're going to ask that in the question section, because we are going to ask what book or what movie have you seen so far that resonated with you and you said, oh, that is a good one. Literature helps us in communication. That is, it connects the reader and the author and sparks discussions. Yeah, literature helps us in communication. There are good books. So we have Redemption Road by Elma Shaw. It helps us in communication. We have Things Fall Apart. It helps us in communication. We have Americana by Chimamanda Adichie. It helps us in communication. You know, there are so many. The literature also offers entertainment. It offers fun, escapism, and enjoyment, whether we like it or not. Sometimes when we want to put down our hair, we want to relax, there are things we just have to do this. And it comes in so many forms. It could come in written literature, it could come in visual literature. When we go to the cinema, it's all part of literature. You just want to enjoy yourself. There are stories being told, put into visuals that are good. Thanks to Omoni Oboli, thanks to Bjordan Stevens, thanks to Bimbo Adeboye, and on and on. It helps us in all that entertainment. Let's not even forget one of our maestro, Funke Akindele, So literature offers fun, escapism, and enjoyment. Then we can also talk about the foreign one. You can put that down in the comment section. We have lots and lots of them. Okay, so it shapes aesthetic taste. It develops a sense of beauty and positive social behavior. Now, when you get to know about things that does not resonate with you or your culture or your religion, it shapes your taste. It helps you develop a sense of positive social behavior. One thing I've learned over time, literature has taught me, I'm going to use that in modern times, contemporary times. When I'm on my page, I may decide to post, but whatever I post, I also put into consideration people's feelings and emotion, despite my belief. But what is not acceptable is you going to someone else's page and the person puts something that does not resonate, you do not agree with the person, and then you put swear words and cuss out the person. No, literature should help your positive social behavior, that you do not agree with an opinion and you're probably highly opinionated doesn't mean you have to leave nasty comments on someone else's page and all that. So it shapes your aesthetic taste, and you leave that, you become a better human being. I'll give us an example. There are some kinds of food that when we see on social media, some people might say, yuck, I cannot eat that. But I also hope you know that your food might also be, yuck, I cannot eat that to some other people. So when you see such, and someone says, this is our native food, this is how we prepare it, you may just drop a comment like, oh, nice. It looks, you could use euphemisms. I never knew about this. It's more like a win-win, pass your critique. But don't just go and drop it. No, never. It looks like it's so yucky. It looks like something they use, what do you call it? Like sacrifice in my place. We never can. Hello, that's someone else's food. Be respectful. Be respectful. Another one is, there are different ones. You can drop that in your comments. Okay. Literature helps us in self-development. It builds knowledge and ambition. It helps us in self-development. If you cannot remain the same when you read books, you cannot remain the same when you watch movies, books turned into visuals. You should not remain the same. It builds knowledge. It builds ambition. Example, when I come across posts that says I came from nothing, but I'm rising or I've risen, of course, it should build ambition. So there is no space, there's no room for laziness. You do not have to say, because my parents didn't do this for me, I have to remain that way. It should build ambition. Development of thought process, and it encourages reflection, discussion, and critical thinking. Of course, you may not really agree with some of these things, but literature helps us in development of thought process. Sometimes when we read a particular book, we just realize that we love some vices of the antagonist. We just love the villain for some reason. And sometimes you question the critique. I'll give us an example. Second-class citizen. So many people frown at second-class citizen because they were saying, how could Ada be so stupid? How could she allow Francis to override her? How could she use her salary and just dump it on Francis? How could she do this? She knew. Hello. It develops your thought process. It helps reflection. It helps you avoid some certain mistakes. It helps you have what we call critical thinking. I asked my girls, do we still have people like Adas? Do we have Adas in the world? Do we still have people, the Francis in the world? Of course. It helps in critical thinking. Then it gives us pleasure and vocabulary enrichment. Of course, when you come across new words in literature, in books, it brings joy, improves your expression. You use such words. Literature transforms. It turns ordinary and bad experiences into beautiful, artistic. What's that her name? She's a foreign singer, a foreign artist. She learned to turn her sorrow, her joys, her heartbreak into art. So guess what? When you're having a bad day, you can pen it down. You can turn it. It becomes a beautiful poem. When you're having a good day, you can put it down and turn it into art. So you should turn your ordinary experiences into something beautiful. Don't forget that. Not everything will leave a smile on the faces. Not everything would make us. That's why we have tragedies and comedies. So we're going to have that in subsequent ones. So literature aids transformation. Literature inspires, educates, entertains, and transforms. It's a powerful tool for personal and cultural growth. Now we've come to the end of the slide. Thank you very much. I hope you really enjoyed this session, this class. Now you can drop your comments on functions of literature and what other types of literature you know. Thank you very much and see you in the next class. Bye-bye.